Hello YouTube. Now today I'm going to talk about a rumor that was circulated by Kotaku saying that Final Fantasy 15 will be showing up on this console generation. Now they provided a compelling argument as to how and why it was going to appear this console generation. They said that every 3 Final Fantasies has appeared on one console generation. Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 appeared on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 appeared on the Super Nintendo. Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9 on the PlayStation 1. And 10, 11, and 12 appearing on the PlayStation 2. Now we already have Final Fantasy 13. Final Fantasy 14 is headed to the PS3, but is already out for the PC. And we've had the sequels to Final Fantasy 13 being Final Fantasy 13-2 and possibly a Final Fantasy 13-3. So of course it would make sense that a Final Fantasy 15 would appear this console generation because we have, in my estimation, at least another 2 years with the current console generation max or minimum. There could be maybe 3 to 4 years in total left. But I definitely see at least a 2-year minimum left on this console generation. Now, the thing is, as I mentioned before, we may be getting a Final Fantasy 13-3. We're still waiting on Final Fantasy 15, or Final Fantasy 14, sorry. So, we already are still waiting for 2 games. So, there is kind of a wait period for Final Fantasy 15 because we're still waiting on 2 possible games, or at least, well, we're waiting for 1 and 1 possible game. So it's kind of up in the air on whether Final Fantasy 15 would show up, but the argument is there that there is at least 3 Final Fantasies on every console, and on every console generation, that is. And I wouldn't mind seeing 15 because I really enjoyed Final Fantasy. If any of you just saw my previous pickups video, you would have noticed that I just picked up 3 Final Fantasies, being 4, 5, and 6. But now back into this argument and this rumor of Final Fantasy 15. You see, they also brought up the point that Hiroyuki Ito, and I hope I pronounced that right, and if I didn't, I'm sorry I butchered your name, good sir, has worked on Final Fantasies 3, 6, and 9, which also happen to be either the interviewers or the writers' favorite Final Fantasies of all time. He likes the other ones, but he says these ones were his favorite. I enjoy 6, 9 was, it was good, but it wasn't particularly one of my favorites. And I've never played Final Fantasy 3, so I have no opinion on Final Fantasy 3. Now, of course, being that this would be technically the 3rd game for the PS3 and the Xbox 360, if it were to show up there, it would hypothetically be done by Hiroyuki Ito. So, yeah, we could definitely see it because he hasn't been working on any titles, to my knowledge at least. So we could see it, and it would be nice to see it, and I really want to play Final Fantasy 15, to be honest with you. I know people keep saying, oh, sequels, we don't need another sequel, we don't want sequels. I want sequels. I want continuations to my games because, you know, just because there's a number on it doesn't mean it's not going to be good. And that's what people seem to think when I read articles or when I watch video game analyst shows. They're like, sequels, no. And I'm like, I want a sequel. I don't care what you want. I want a sequel, and many people want a sequel, so no. Okay? Now, of course, the other interesting fact is we are getting a game from Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi, The Last Story, which is coming out later this year for the Wii. Now, of course, Sakaguchi hasn't been with Square Enix for quite some time. He's with Mistwalker, his own studio. So it was kind of interesting that they brought that up, that in their argument, that because Hironobu Sakaguchi is working on his own game with his own studio, that it would make sense that Hiroyuki Ito would be working on this one. Now, based on his work, on the fact that he did work on 6, and 6 was fantastic. I love 6. And if he's working on this one, power to him, because that would be awesome. And in my personal opinion, would I want Final Fantasy 15 to show up? As I've said most of this throughout this video, yes, I would. I would love for Final Fantasy 15 to come out this console generation, because I don't want to have to spend another $400 or $500 or whatever the prices are going to be for the PlayStation 4 or the whatever Microsoft has cooking, or whatever the price the Wii U is going to be, although it's doubtful that Final Fantasy 15 would show up on the Wii U, because Nintendo and Square Enix have a bit of a grudge going on, because, Square, back when they were Squaresoft, went, we're gonna develop on the PlayStation, and Nintendo said, if you do that, we're through. And to this day, no Square employees have ever been allowed to work on a Nintendo platform game. They've actually had to hire they actually had to hire a whole new staff to work on the Crystal Chronicles games and all the games that have shown up on Nintendo consoles after 2002, which is when they started developing for Nintendo consoles again. But of course, they had the Square and Enix merged, so it's kind of up in the air with that. But back onto the topic, Final Fantasy 15. I want to know your opinions. Are you ready for a Final Fantasy 15? What do you think it would be about? Do you think it would be like another... I can't even think of anything, like a world domination thing, or a... Well, of course, they're all kind of world domination things, but how do you think the story would kind of unravel, and how do you think it's gonna work out? I have no clue at this point. I am really hyped for this game, and I really hope they announce it at E3, if it's even true that it's coming. Again, this is just a rumor, and I've never seen a rumor get me so excited before, but Final Fantasy 15 coming out this console generation would certainly be amazing. If you have liked this video, or enjoyed what I have brought to you, and really like having this discussion with everybody down in the comment section, make a video response if you want to, like, subscribe, share, and really get talking about this game, because, I want to know what people are thinking for the next Final Fantasy adventure. We all know that 14's an MMO, so it's kind of time to go, what would Final Fantasy 15 be like? You know what I mean? It's going to be exciting. I know that. Because I love 13. I despise 12. 12 was kind of like a slap in the face to me, and I was like, oh, no, you didn't. I don't like... Oh. And I was glad what they did with 13. No, it was kind of a little bit too linear compared to 7 and compared to 8. 8 and 7 did kind of have some linearity. And 13 had a little bit too much linearity, but I didn't mind that. I really enjoyed 13 compared to that atrocity that was 12. If you enjoyed 12, power to you. Congratulations, because that is awesome that somebody can enjoy 12. 12 was not for me. 10 was also not for me. The PlayStation 2 Final Fantasies were kind of like, not so much there for me. But I love the series. I love every Final Fantasy except for those two. And 10-2. But 10-2 is another topic in itself. And so write down in the comments below, share, subscribe, chat it up, video response it, and I will see you all next time here on YouTube.